Burning in their backyard on Saturday. Now, it's still not clear at this point what caused the burning, but the South Carolina Forestry Commission says lightning has mostly been ruled out at this point. Now, since that time, over 500 first responders from across the state have all come in to help put out the flames in the past 48 hours. Now, that includes 2 Blackhawks, 1 Chinook helicopter, and 2 single-engine air tankers, which have helped douse water on the active wildfire. Now, evacuees that I spoke with tell me they're just lucky to be alive today, thanks to the many helping hands.
I had to get out is when I saw the flames so high that it scared me to death. I've got that imprinted in my mind. The flames were right here. And the heat, oh, forget it. I grabbed what we had and we hauled butt. We had to get out of here. There was no ifs, ands, or buts.
The South Carolina Forestry Commission says 100% containment could take several days, and then determining what actually started this wildfire could take quite a while. Reporting live in Carolina Forest, Ashley Listrom, WMBF News.
Well, now the entire state of South Carolina remains under a state of emergency this afternoon. Of course, that is following that declaration by Governor Henry McMaster earlier today. Dozens of wildfires have impacted thousands of acres all across South Carolina. That's according to the state fire marshal. Governor McMaster addressing the media earlier today in Columbia. He says the emergency declaration helps get things done in a timely manner.
When you have a team like ours in South Carolina that's worked together across counties, across cities, all departments and offices, when you eliminate what could be little stopgaps, they can really get the job done, and they did again this time, just like they do in hurricanes.
And just a reminder, right now the statewide burn ban is still in effect, and that is until further notice. This comes directly from the South Carolina Forestry Commission. Governor McMaster also speaking on that ban over the weekend. You may have seen us push that out. Some very, very strong wording from the governor saying, quote, "You can and will go to jail for starting a fire outdoors in South Carolina, period." Classes did go on today as scheduled for schools here in the Carolina Forest area, while firefighters continued battling the wildfire. Of course, the heavy smoke as well lingering in the area, especially earlier this morning, as Jamie was just talking about a moment ago, leaving several parents really feeling quite upset with Horry County Schools' choice to not cancel classes today. Our Sabrina Carson actually got to speak with some parents who say the district should have kept those kids at home.
Parents in Horry County are scared and concerned today. This comes after Horry County school leaders decided to keep California forest schools open despite wildfires being just minutes away. Horry County Schools sent out an email last night letting parents know classes would continue in person today. But the district says it is being flexible with families and staff impacted by the wildfires and are committed to working with each student on a case-by-case basis. Many parents took to Facebook concerned about the fire smoke, while others made the choice to keep their kids home altogether. Amanda Orgosh is one of those parents. She says she was shocked by the school district's decision.
We've canceled school for a lot less, so knowing there's wildfires burning and it's only 30% contained and that there's still 70% of a wildfire out there in the area where there are children going to school, so I was actually really surprised and kind of appalled.
Horry County Schools says the decision is made by a team of administrators and is based on information the district gets from Horry County government. Reporting in Carolina Forest, Sabrina Carson, WMBF News.
All right, and don't forget, the best way to stay up to date on everything that's going on right now is with the WMBF News app. Make sure you have it downloaded. It is completely free. Make sure you also turn on those alerts to get any and all updates sent straight to your phone just as soon as they come in.
All right, we have other news to get to. First at 4, an Ohio man will now spend decades in prison after admitting he strangled his ex-girlfriend on a senior graduation trip here in Myrtle Beach. Our Ali Espinosa joins us live now outside the Horry County Courthouse with more on, Ali, what a judge says was a gruesome murder.
Eric, Blake Linkus walked into the courtroom with his parents and his sister, telling the court that he failed to protect the love of his life and is now taking responsibility. Now, Linkus admitted he strangled his ex-girlfriend, Natalie Martin, in June of 2023 while they were on a senior graduation trip here in the Grand Strand. Prosecutors revealed Linkus was angry that Martin had broken up with him just 2 weeks prior, then learning she was texting another boy. They say phone records show Linkus texting his dad, who was also inside the courtroom today, saying he got mad and screwed up before trying to take his own life. Martin's father addressed the court, telling the judge it still doesn't make sense how Linkus was given bond and allowed to go back home to Ohio leading up to his trial.
He's dead because Blake Linkus wrapped his greasy, cowardly hands around her neck and he strangled the life out.
Now, Linkus will spend 45 years in prison, but he does have 10 days from today to appeal his decision. Live in Horry County, Ali Espinosa, WMBF News.
An 18-year-old is dead following a shooting in Horry County. Police responded late last night to the area of Lucas Bay Road and Security Lane, just off Highway 701 in Conway. That's where they found a man identified as Devorius Mack Jr. shot inside a car. Mack was taken to the hospital just before midnight, where he died from his injuries. More details, including what led up to that shooting, possible suspect information, that's all limited right now. We're going to keep you updated, though, as soon as we learn more developments. Next at 4, we have your first alert to the threat of strong storms as we make our way through the middle of the work week. Jamie's back with his full first alert forecast. And of course, we are staying on top of the wildfires impacting so many of you. Rachel's also back with us live, straight ahead.
forecast from WMBF First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
And back out here live this afternoon from Carolina Forest Community Church. This is sort of ground zero for the relief efforts, especially for all of the first responders. Just a tremendous amount of people and activity here as the battle continues against this wildfire here in the Carolina Forest area. Thankfully, weather conditions have improved somewhat today. We've seen that fire behaving much less erratically and violently compared to what we saw Saturday and at times yesterday. We've also seen that thick morning smoke across portions of 501 and Highway 31 lift and dissipate. You can see that here with a live look at Carolina Forest through Waccamaw Pines down into George Bishop. However, we will likely start to see some of that thick smoke descending into the area once again for that morning commute, and it can at times become extremely dense. And if you were driving around this morning, you probably smelled that smoke inside your car. As you're getting into those smoky areas, remember to use the recirculate feature in your car if you're running the heat or air tomorrow morning. That'll tend to limit the amount of smoke that gets inside. Here's a look at First Alert Doppler radar. Again, we've got the most active fire at 30% containment here just on the backside of Carolina Forest. The smaller original fire still burning near Old Highway 90. That one, though, remains 100% contained. Now, as far as the weather conditions for the fire going into tomorrow, it's still a dry day. One of the issues, I've been talking to some of the firefighters here, a little bit concerned about tomorrow, the wind. It tends to start picking up tomorrow afternoon with gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. That'll be more of a south and southeasterly wind. That's going to tend to push a good deal of that smoke a bit further inland for areas that haven't really seen a lot of smoke so far. Slightly better news as far as the humidity tomorrow. It does start to come up into that 40 to 50% range compared to 15 to 20% humidity we dealt with over the weekend. Now, Wednesday, that's a big transition day. We do have showers and storms in the forecast that come as we head for midday into the early afternoon. That brings a big increase in humidity, but ahead of those downpours, wind potentially gusting as high as 45 miles per hour here at the fire site through the first part of the day on Wednesday. But we also need to focus on that severe weather threat. Focusing on 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday, an isolated severe storm wind gust as high as 60 miles per hour will be possible, and it's a small but non-zero risk for an isolated tornado. We gave you the first alert to this way back on Thursday of last week, and it remains in place. Level 2, severe weather risk through the day Wednesday. And notice future radar bringing that line of activity into the PD, crossing I-95 likely around 11 a.m. through the heart of the PD as we head through midday. Look at those wind gusts, 40 to 45 miles per hour, and again, isolated gusts to 60. The good news is we are going to see the worst of that pushing offshore as we head into late Wednesday afternoon. Now, as far as rainfall amounts go, it's not going to be enough to get us out of the drought. It's not going to be enough to completely eliminate the fire threat, as I think most of us pick up around 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rainfall from those storms on Wednesday.
All right, and then another thing that I also wanted to dig into, Jamie, that we had been talking about and that you referenced earlier is that super fog. So can you kind of dig in? What is super fog?
Yeah, super fog is actually a really unique type of fog and smoke, similar to what we saw this morning. And it occurs when you have a fire that is slowly burning and smoldering in an area with a lot of moisture. So that fire back behind us burning through a lot of peat in the soil, that burns slowly and there's a lot of moisture in it. We also saw that fire burning a lot of limbs and leaves that had a little bit of moisture. That moisture and that smoke combine to create what is called a super fog. And the reason it's called a super fog, it can get way thicker than any traditional fog you deal with.
Yeah, we saw some of that in the videos and pictures this morning.
You can get visibility down to around 10 feet or lower in that super fog. And one of the really interesting things, the 2009 fire here actually sparked a lot of research and study on super fogs thanks to that 2009 fire. So we know a lot more about predicting that super fog thanks to the fire in the same spot back in 2009.
All right, thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Also, we want to take a moment as well because so many of you have been sending in pictures and videos of what you are seeing out in your area. So we are taking a look now at some of those sent in to us, like this video. This is sent in from Dana Cockrell. Thanks so much, Dana. Showing a helicopter dumping water on a hot spot. This is near Harvest Drive, Wow, just impressive to see all of that work there, that aerial assault on the fires. You can submit any pictures or videos that you have from the wildfire through the WMBF News app. We also want to take a look at this one, this picture here. This is from Keegan Walter. Took it at a stoplight, showing the smoky conditions out there for drivers. And just look, I mean, what visibility, right? That's the kind of challenges that so many folks were running into this morning. And again, so many of you I know have been snapping and sharing photos on social media, but we would also love to see them here as well. You can share them with us very easily, again, through the WMBF News First Alert weather app and the news app as well. Now, also, it is notable here, this is not the only wildfire raging across the Carolinas this afternoon. Myra Ruiz has an update on the efforts to contain the flames up in Polk County, North Carolina. Take a look.
We are at a command post that has been set up in Saluda at the so-called party place, a venue that is now turned into a headquarters for emergency workers who are battling the 3910 fire. And joining us to tell us more about how things are going is Jeremy Waldrop with the North Carolina Forest Service. So, Jeremy, how is it going right now?
It's going pretty well. We've got right now we currently have crews engaged on the line, working on some of the areas, mopping it up, securing the line so we can increase containment on the fire.
Yeah, right now about 400 acres have burned and it's about 30% contained?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, what are the big challenges?
A lot of the challenges are it's dry conditions, rocky, steep terrain. We do have a lot of weakened trees that were in the area from Helene as well that were challenges, so we're having to work around a lot of those things that came from the storm.
Yeah, and it all started when you were experiencing windy conditions?
Correct, yes. There's a red flag warning that was on Saturday, and there was windy conditions, and it took a tree down. The tree hit a power line, and the fire started from that.
Yeah, now there is just a voluntary evacuation order in place for families. What would happen for that to escalate?
That would be something that would be determined by a cooperative. We're in a unified command with the fire department, so I believe there would be a discussion if there were trigger points that were reached for that, but currently at this time I don't see anything like that happening.
Okay, the conditions have changed from yesterday and over the weekend, less windy, so how favorable is that?
It's good working conditions. We can get the crews in the woods to work and strengthen up lines, and hopefully we can get some moisture coming in tomorrow into Wednesday, so hopefully we can increase containment on this fire.
Jeremy Waldrop with the North Carolina Forest Service, thank you so much. Again, hoping for the best as fire crews continue to battle the brush fire in Polk County.
Again, that was Myra Ruiz with that report for us out of North Carolina this afternoon. And we are not done here with our updates live from Carolina Forest. Stick with us for our next check-in. We have live team coverage here in Carolina Forest.
And next at 4, we're highlighting a few women who have impacted all of our lives in honor of Women's History Month. That story straight ahead right after another